A cold wind rushed across the cemetery, carrying with it the sound of leaves scraping against marble gravestones. Elena Hartley, one of the most fearless businesswomen in the city, stood completely still in front of her son Daniel's grave. To everyone else, she was steel, unbreakable, unstoppable, sharp as glass. But here she was just a mother with a heart still bleeding from a wound the world had forgotten existed. As she placed fresh white lilies on the stone, something shifted in the corner of her eye, soft crying, painful and trembling. She turned her head, expecting another grieving parent, but froze. A Spanish woman was kneeling beside a nearby grave, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably, while a tiny little girl beside her whispered, "Mama, please don't cry." Something about the way the woman held her chest, the way the little girl clung to her, it hooked Elena in a way she couldn't explain. It felt like the beginning of something she wasn't prepared for, something that would change everything she thought she knew about her past, and her son. Elena wiped a tear that escaped despite her attempt to remain composed. She tried to look away, but her gaze kept drifting back to the pair. The woman must have been in her early 30s, long dark hair tied loosely, clothes worn as if she had traveled far or struggled too long. The little girl, no older than 5, had the same deep brown eyes, shining with a kind of innocence and worry no child should ever carry. Elena felt her heartbeat shift, as though drawn toward them by invisible threads she didn't understand. She told herself to walk away, return to her car, return to her life of meetings, decisions, and responsibilities. But she couldn't move. Something inside whispered, "Stay. Watch. Listen." And so she did. The wind howled again. The Spanish woman placed a trembling hand on the gravestone in front of her and whispered something Elena barely caught, "Lo siento. I'm sorry. I should have told you." The words dug into Elena like hooks, refusing to let go. She felt her entire chest tighten. Who was this woman apologizing to? And why did it feel like those words were floating toward her son's grave too, touching a place she thought was long buried? Before she could stop herself, she took a step forward, then another, until she stood only a few feet behind them. She opened her mouth to speak, but the little girl looked up at that exact moment, their eyes meeting, and the child froze. Her small lips parted, confusion flickering in her gaze. Then she whispered something to her mother that made the woman look up too. And when the woman's eyes met Elena's, they widened with recognition. Not surprise. Not fear. Recognition. That was the moment everything changed. The moment the story began. The moment Elena realized this visit to her son's grave was not like all the others. It was the day she would learn the truth she never expected, one that connected her, the Spanish woman, and the little girl in ways that would shake her to the core. Chapter 1. Elena couldn't understand the recognition she saw in the woman's eyes. It wasn't the polite surprise of a stranger. It wasn't curiosity. It was something deeper, like she had been expecting her. The Spanish woman quickly wiped her tears and tried to steady her breathing, but her gaze stayed locked on Elena. For a long moment, none of them spoke. The air felt thick, heavy with a tension Elena couldn't explain. Finally, Elena broke the silence. "Are you all right?" Her voice was softer than she intended, as if speaking too loudly might shatter something delicate between them. The woman nodded shakily. Yes. I'm sorry. We didn't mean to disturb you." "You weren't disturbing me," Elena replied gently. Her eyes drifted to the little girl, who ducked behind her mother but continued peeking at Elena with fascination. "Is she your daughter?" The woman hesitated, then nodded. "Yes. Her name is Sophia." "She's beautiful," Elena said with a small smile. The girl pressed her cheek into her mother's arm, hiding her shy smile. Elena looked at the grave they were visiting. The name etched into the stone made her breath catch. Marcos Alvarez. She remembered that name. Her son Daniel had mentioned a friend during his final months in the military. A brave man, a man Daniel had admired deeply. A man who had been killed in the same attack that took her son's life. Her pulse quickened. "You knew him?" Elena asked. The woman's lips trembled. "He was my husband." Elena's heart dropped. "I'm so sorry." Marcos. A man her son had spoken about so often, with such respect. The connection struck her chest like a fist. But the feeling didn't stop there. Because something strange happened next. The little girl stepped out from behind her mother and looked directly into Elena's eyes. "My Poppy knew your son," she said in a tiny, gentle voice. Elena felt her breath freeze. "How do you know that?" she whispered. Sophia pointed her small finger directly at Daniel's grave. Her mother's face went pale. "Because, Senora," the woman said in a trembling whisper, "your son saved my husband's life long enough for him to tell me something before he died. Something about you. Something I've carried for years." The ground beneath Elena's feet seemed to tilt. She swallowed hard. "What did he tell you?" The woman's eyes filled again. "It's why I came today. I couldn't hold it anymore." She placed a hand over her heart. "He told me your son had asked him to deliver a message to you if he never made it home." Elena felt her heartbeat pounding in her ears. "A message," she whispered. "From Daniel." The woman nodded, tears spilling. It felt as though time had stopped around them. Leaves frozen in midair. Wind forgotten. Cars in the world outside stilled. What message? Elena choked, her voice breaking for the first time in years. The woman reached into her worn bag, pulled out a small envelope, its edges yellowed with time, its seal broken but preserved carefully. "I have carried this for years," she said. "For you." Elena stared at the envelope, her hands trembling beyond control. Her son's handwriting was on it. Her knees almost gave way. Without realizing it, she whispered, "Daniel." And then she realized. This woman hadn't come here by accident. She had come to deliver the last words her son ever wrote. Words she was never meant to live without. Chapter 2. Elena held the envelope the way a starving person held food, as if afraid it might disappear if she blinked. The world around her blurred as she slowly tore the top open. Inside was a folded sheet of paper, worn around the creases but carefully protected. Her son's handwriting. Her breath broke into 100 pieces as she unfolded it. "Mom, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it home." Her hand flew to her mouth as a sob escaped her. The letter continued. "I know you're going to try to stay strong, pretend everything is all right. But please don't hide your heart forever. You taught me how to be brave, and real bravery means letting yourself feel, even when it hurts. There's something else, Mom. I made a promise. Marcos told me about his wife and the baby they were expecting. If anything ever happened to him, he asked me to protect them. And I told him I would, just like he protected me every day we were deployed. If he's gone too, please find them. Help them if you can. They're good people. They deserve a chance to start again. I trust you, Mom. I always have. Your son, your soldier, your biggest admirer, Daniel." Elena couldn't breathe. Couldn't speak. Couldn't hold back the tears that fell freely, silently, painfully. She sank to her knees. Her son's last wish was standing right in front of her. The Spanish woman, Maria, knelt beside her, tears flowing but voice steady. "I didn't know how to find you. I didn't even know if I should. After Marcos died, life became difficult. I didn't want charity. I didn't want pity. I just wanted peace for my daughter." Elena looked at Sophia, who stared back with those gentle, curious eyes. "Why today?" Elena whispered. "Why come now?" Maria inhaled shakily. "Because we are losing our home. I lost my job 3 weeks ago. And a friend told me, when everything feels heavy, visit those you've lost. I brought Sophia here, and when I saw your son's name, she shook her head. I knew I couldn't run from the truth anymore. I had something that belonged to you." Elena closed the letter carefully and held it against her heart. Then she did something no one would have expected from the city's most iron-willed businesswoman. She wrapped her arms around Maria and pulled her into a trembling embrace. "You're not alone anymore," Elena whispered through tears. "You and Sophia, come with me. Whatever Daniel asked of me, I will honor it." Maria broke completely, sobbing into Elena's shoulder while Sophia held onto both of them. For the first time in years, Elena felt something she thought she would never feel again. Purpose. Not the kind found in offices and contracts, but the kind found in connections, responsibilities, and promises made by love. The three of them stood slowly